Sukuniono, a really average student academically and physically, failed his entrance exams for high school but has been enrolled in a private school called Yakai Academy after his father found a packet of information dropped by a mysterious person who would later be revealed as Tenmei Mikagami, the Yakai Academy headmaster. The bus driver taking him to Yakai tells him to be careful as it is a scary-ass school. Sukyun gets a call from his cousin Kyoko, who starts explaining that she has been doing research on Yakai Academy, but is cut off when they pass through a tunnel to the school bus stop. Sukyun departs the bus and takes the new scenery in stride despite most of the trees being dead and the ocean being red. The driver tells Sukyun to watch his back and drives off back into the tunnel. Sukyun begins walking to find the Yakai Academy dorms, but finds a squeaking sound is following him. Much to his relief, he finds a bat was behind him, but failed to notice a runaway bicycle that rams into his side. He and the rider of the bike collide and tumble away from it. Regaining his senses, Sukyun reaches out to get himself up, only to find his hand has fallen on the thigh of a girl. She apologizes for crashing into him and moves her hair away from her face. She is gorgeous, according to Sukyun. Sukyun is smitten by her beauty until he notices his hand is still on her and she does as well. He pulls it away and apologizes, saying he didn't mean to do that. Blood comes out of his nose and the girl offers a handkerchief to wipe it off, but she soon swoons, mumbling about a smell. Sukyun wonders what she is talking about, then notices her hair smells delightful. The girl apologizes, explaining that she is a vampire and bites him on the neck. Realizing what she did, she pulls away, apologizing again. Sukyun whines about being bitten, but finds only lipstick is on his neck instead of a wound. The girl then wonders if he is a student at Yakai as well, and Sukyun tells her he is a freshman, which she is as well. She then wonders what he thinks of vampires as she fidgets. Sukyun thinks she is just messing around and says he doesn't mind if she is a vampire. She pounces on him in joy, asking if he'll be her friend. Realizing they are not acquainted yet, she introduces herself as Mocha Akashiya. Sukyun introduces himself and they walk off to school. In homeroom, Sukyun finds his teacher, Shizuka Nekonome, to be very kind, thinking he has lucked out for this school. However, Ms. Nekonome goes on to explain to the students that Yakai is a school solely for monsters as a reminder of the school rules. Sukyun is confused and horrified to hear this, wondering if she is just kidding. Ms. Nekonome then goes on to explain that since humans run the earth, they, monsters, must learn to perfectly disguise themselves as such and coexistence with humanity. One of the students, Seizo Kamiya, says he'd rather eat humans instead of coexisting with them. Sukyun hides his face with his new student's information book in response. Nekonome chides Seizo for saying such things and goes on to say that all the staff are monsters as well. The school is surrounded by a secret barrier, and if a human had even managed to get inside it, they would be put to death. Sukyun is now fearful of his life, but drops his book on the floor, but quickly retrieves it, getting an odd glare from Seizo. Seizo then mentions that he has been smelling the scent of a human Sukyun the whole time. Sukyun fearfully flinches at this comment. However, the conversation is cut off when Mocha arrives late in the room. Ms. Nekonome tells Mocha to introduce herself, which she does. All the boys in the class begin drooling over her. Mocha then notices Sukyun in front of the empty desk in the back, which will be her desk, and happily hugs him, expressing joy at being in the same class as him. This act draws shocked gazes from the bulk of the class and an annoyed glare from a girl seated near Sukyun. Sukyun and Mocha explore the school, while Sukyun ponders in his head about the situation. While Mocha earns the interest of the boys, Sukyun earns their hatred for hanging around Mocha. They stop at a vending machine just outside to get drinks. They both reach in at the same time. Sukyun apologizes in embarrassment for touching her hand and is accidentally pushed into a beam by Mocha, who finds his behavior silly. They both enjoy their drinks until Seizo arrives and tosses Sukyun into the vending machine, trying to hit on Mocha. Mocha rejects him and helps Sukyun up. Seizo picks up a can that fell out of the machine with his tongue and crushes it. On the rooftop, Mocha asks Sukyun if he's okay. She thinks it's odd Tsukyun has acted like he has never seen a monster before. Mocha asks Tsukyun what kind of monster he is until remembering the school rules. Tsukyun points out that Mocha already told him what she is and wonders if she really is a vampire. Mocha points to a rosario she is wearing and explains that if it comes off, she'll turn into a powerful and scary vampire. Tsukyun tells her that even if she gets scary, he's sure she's the same person. Mocha hugs him happily, explaining that he is her first friend and the first person she actually sucked blood from, as she had only had transfusion bags of blood prior, going on about how delicious she found it, as it seems she's about to suck his blood again. Tsukyun suddenly gets a chill from Mocha and says he forgot to do something, running off. Seeing that he cannot stay at Yakai Academy, Tsukyun gathers his things and prepares to leave. However, Mocha catches him and attempts to convince him to stay, mentioning how she hated humans due to spending her childhood in the human world. Monsters don't exist to humans, so she felt lonely out of not feeling like she belonged. Tsukyun tells her of his true nature, getting mixed reactions from Mocha. As Mocha is shocked, she asks Tsukyun if it's true, to which he shouts for her to stay away from him. Reminding her of her hatred of humans, he retaliates with saying he doesn't need monsters for friends. This angry remark earns a hurt look from Mocha, which makes Tsukyun express guilt before bolting. Tsukyun begins looking fervently for the bus stop, with Mocha in pursuit. Seizo has also followed and finds Mocha, transforming into his true form an orc as he sees the rules only applying on campus. Tsukyun hears her cry out and runs back to find Seizo, trying to get Mocha to transform for him. Tsukyun tries getting Seizo to leave Mocha alone, but is knocked away and down a hill to the bus stop. Seizo looks down at him from the cliff, laughing about how weak Tsukyun is. Mocha follows after Tsukyun, annoying Seizo as they are not done yet. Mocha reaches Tsukyun and holds him in her arms, tearfully apologizing for his injuries while explaining that she always wanted a friend. It didn't matter if it was a human or a monster. However, as she sucks human blood, harming them in the process, she thinks a human will never want to be her friend. Tsukyun picks himself up and explains that despite being a weakling, he still wants to be friends with her as he really likes her. Seizo comes after them and knocks Tsukyun towards Mocha, who runs over to him again. Tsukyun then reaches up and touches Mocha's shoulder, telling her that he still likes her, regardless of the fact she's a vampire, as she cries and is amazed that Tsukyun likes her. As his hand falls off her shoulder, he snags her rosario with one finger and pulls it off. Before she transforms, Mocha expresses surprise that the rosary came off. Mocha then transforms into her true form, an S-class vampire with silver hair and red eyes. Her stare alone is enough to frighten Seizo. As Seizo struggles to compose himself, Mocha stretches and makes a few minor jump steps. Seizo begins thinking about how he will be famous if he beat a vampire, but Mocha simply yawns and tells him it's time for him to learn his place. With a simple kick, Mocha knocks Seizo out. Tsukyun sees Mocha is different than before, wondering which version is the real her. Mocha walks over to Tsukyun as he collapses in her arms. Before blacking out, Tsukyun notices that Mocha's sweet scent is unchanged, which seems to calm him. Mocha's own expression softens right before he passes out. Tsukyun wakes up later on Mocha's lap to see she is back to normal. Much to his horror, Tsukyun sees that the bus will only come once a month to Yakai. Tsukyun then proceeds to voice over part of a letter he is writing to his parents as Mocha wipes blood off a wound of his. However, Mocha catches the scent of his blood and bites him again. The episode begins with Tsukyun narrating part of a letter to his parents about Yakai. To his relief, he has found that the students receive a room each at the dorms, something that is of great relief to him. He wakes up that morning to find some of the students in the male dorm have had trouble keeping their humans' forms during sleep as he gets water from the sink near his room, mulling over Yakai. Tsukyun leaves for school that day to see three boys drooling over how gorgeous Mocha is as she walks towards them. She quickly grabs Tsukyun by the arm and greets him, much to his joy surprise. The boys become enraged that Tsukyun is still getting attention from Mocha, but despite looking like a wimp, they've heard he beat up Seizo Kamiya, not inner Mocha. Tsukyun is shocked that the story is so distorted. Mocha sees Tsukyun is spacing out and grabs him by the hand, pulling him along. The boys become jealous and pine over not being the one Mocha fawns over, not knowing someone has been watching behind a tree. Alone, Mocha tells Tsukyun that if there is anything she can do for him since he is a human, he can ask her. Tsukyun thanks Mocha for her kindness, seeing how different she is compared to the Mocha that beat Seiso, wondering which one of them is the real her. Mocha swoons and Tsukyun catches her, asking what's wrong. She explains that she overslept and didn't have time for breakfast. Apologizing, Mocha bites his neck and sucks some of his blood. Once Mocha has had her fill, Tsukyun reacts frantically, running around. Holding his neck where she bit him, Tsukyun tells Mocha that he's not her breakfast and runs off. Mocha says she is sorry. At the pond near the school, Tsukyun examines his neck, which has lipstick on it from Mocha's bite, commenting that she doesn't leave a scar on him, but it still hurts. He then worries what will happen if she keeps sucking his blood and about the other students at the school. He then notices a girl has collapsed nearby and blushes at her beauty. The girl asks him to help her up, and Tsukyun does so. Tsukyun asks her if she is alright, and in response the girl presses her big breasts against his chest, which shocks him. Tsukyun agrees to take the girl to the nurse's office. The girl thanks him, but as Tsukyun leads her away, she smirks to herself. On the school rooftop, Mocha feels awful for biting Tsukyun like that and decides to apologize for doing so. Below her, Tsukyun has walked the girl to the vending machine as she reminds him that she is in the same class as him. She sits behind Seiso, if you paid attention to episode 1, even breaking the fourth wall by thinking Tsukyun would see a clip showing she is telling the truth. Tsukyun notes that while this girl is cute, she's a monster just like everyone else at the school. The girl falls forward again, and he catches her. Tsukyun inquires as to what's wrong, and the girl says her breasts felt like they're cramping up. She then begins rubbing her breasts against him, which shocks Tsukyun as he finds the sensation surprisingly enjoyable. However, he mentally yells at himself for thinking such a thing. Introducing herself as Kirimu, the girl has Tsukyun look into her eyes, which causes Tsukyun to fall into a trance. In said trance, Tsukyun begins hugging her just as Mocha arrives. Kirimu explains who she is and begins walking off with the dazed Tsukyun. Mocha tries to get Tsukyun to stop and wait for her, but Tsukyun, still in a trace, tells her that he won't as he is tired of being used like a beverage to her, hurting Mocha's feelings. As she walks away, Tsukyun wonders why he was so mean. In class, Tsukyun has broken free of the spell and wonders why he said such hurtful things. Behind him, Mocha and Kirimu glare at each other. Mocha wonders what Kirimu is to Tsukyun, while Kirimu is laughing that she is winning. Right after class ends, Tsukyun tries to apologize to Mocha, but finds that she is gone. Outside, in the hallway, Mocha begins drinking tomato juice, wondering who Kirimu is. Kirimu jumps from the stairs, introducing herself. 3 boys voice their praises for her big breasts as well as her white undergarments, but Mocha wonders what she is up to. Kirimu explains she plans to turn all the boys in Yakai into her personal harem. As a succubus, it is easy for her. Mocha chides her for revealing her true nature as Kirimu reveals that she is angry that all the boys are falling for Mocha instead of her. Tsukyun finds them and tries to apologize to Mocha, but Kirimu hypnotizes him again, getting him to say hurtful things to Mocha about her sucking his blood again. Mocha tries to reason with Tsukyun just as Kirimu tells her she has noticed Tsukyun smells like a human. With a final traced insult from a hypnosis-dazed Tsukyun, Mocha runs away, crying. Kirimu laughs over her victory. For unexplained reasons, Kirimu is taken to the nurse's office by Tsukyun, where she gloats to herself while Tsukyun feels awful for hurting Mocha again. Kirimu decides it is time to put Tsukyun permanently under her spell and hugs him, smothering him with her breasts. The announcer Bat tells the audience that they have to change the scene due to things becoming too adult for the broadcast, so the scene changes to Mocha, feeling sad and wondering if she truly is only friends with Tsukyun just to suck his blood. The voice of inner Mocha comes from the Rosario, telling outer Mocha that Tsukyun fell victim to succubus magic, charm, and that his life may be in danger if Kirimu plans to suck his life force out or turn him into her slave. Mocha is then told to find Tsukyun and prevent this. Mocha tries to get inner Mocha to tell her where to go, but inner Mocha has stopped talking, which increases Mocha's desperation to save Tsukyun. Back in the nurse's office, Kirimu has pinned Tsukyun down, planning to make him her slave with a kiss, hypnotizing him again. As she prepares to kiss him, Tsukyun uses all his strength to break free from the trance and hug Kirimu, telling her that he cannot go through with this. Baffled, Kirimu tries to break his grasp to try hypnotizing Tsukni again. Kirimu then freezes in shock as Tsukyun says he cares for someone else and that he can't leave the hurtful words between them. This makes Kirimu break down in a hysterical fit, asking Tsukyun if her wants Mocha more than her. She then goes on to tell him that she acted weak and things that were embarrassing for her to try winning him over. Kirimu sees she had been defeated and decides to kill him instead, as turning him into her slave is out of the question now, transforming into her true form. Tsukyun utterly freaks out. Mocha arrives and pushes her out the window and into the distance. Tsukyun wonders what is going on, and Mocha explains that Kirimu's a succubus, and that a succubus can bewitch men just by looking at them, which allows Tsukyun to realize why he said those awful things. Kirimu flies back and uses her tail to grab Tsukyun by the throat, dragging him outside, with Mocha, who had grabbed onto him. However, Kirimu cannot hold two people, causing her to drop them in the woods outside. As they recover, Kirimu finds it to be the perfect opportunity to kill the both and elongates her nails, flying past them and slicing through the trees like butter. Mocha tries to have Tsukyun remove her rosario, but it doesn't work. Kirimu yells that she will kill them both, but Mocha tells her to spare Tsukyun. Kirimu laughs at this, believing Mocha is just a vampire trying to protect her favorite snack. Mocha tells her that's wrong. Tsukyun means the world to her because he's the first real friend she's ever had, so she would gladly die to protect him. Kirimu dismisses the idea of friendship with men, believing that they are only meant to be enslaved by succubi. Tsukyun realizes that he feels the same way about Mocha and pulls on the rosario, freeing inner Mocha. With inner Mocha out, Kirimu becomes frightened, but explains that she is on an important mission. Her kind are few in number, so she must find her mate of fate in order to continue her species. Inner Mocha finds the reason for wanting to enslave the males selfish, deciding to put Kirimu in her place by kicking her through the trees. Kirimu apologizes, saying she will stop. However, inner Mocha doesn't want to take chances, deciding to remove Kirimu's wings and tail. Terrified at the thought of being permanently maimed, Kirimu begs her not to in a small, terror-stricken voice. Tsukyun gets in front of Mocha, telling her that Kirimu explained she wasn't doing this to be mean and that she seems to be a nice person deep down. Kirimu bawls in frightened relief. Inner Mocha explains that she saved him to keep his blood around. Unlike the other Mocha, she doesn't consider him her friend. She then seals herself. The next day, Tsukyun apologizes to Mocha about the things he said while under Kirimu's spell, but finds that she doesn't mind. They begin looking at each other lovingly, but are interrupted when Kirimu greets them, showing Tsukyun that she has baked cookies for him. Tsukyun wonders why she has baked cookies for him and learns, much to his horror, that she has decided on him as her mate of fate. Kirimu and Mocha begin tugging on him, which leads to Mocha biting him. The episode opens with Tsukyun narrating part of a letter he is writing to his family about the midterms at Yakai, which are taken a lot earlier than he expected, leaving him to score 128th in the freshman class. In spite of his falling exactly in the middle of the standings, he hears 3 male students, who all seem to have human form difficulties, expressing delight at being nearly 100 places behind Tsukyun. Much to his shock, he finds that Mocha has scored 13th. Male students comment on how Mocha's not only beautiful, but also really smart. Tsukyun congratulates her, but Mocha insists her score was a fluke. Mocha then offers to help Tsukyun study the next time they have a test. They both gaze at each other lovingly as the male students writhe in anger of how lucky Tsukyun is to study with Mocha. Unbeknownst to them, Yukari Sendo, the smartest girl and youngest due to skipping 4 grades, even placing first in all the school in their grade, is watching them from close by, infatuated with Mocha's beauty. Yukari is complimented by her class president on being the smartest in their school, but tells her not to push her luck. Wondering what they mean, Yukari is told that her witch outfit is against that school rules as it reveals her true nature, and that she should just do as she's told as her just being in the school gives him enough of a headache. In retaliation, Yukari drops washtubs on his head and those of his 2 companions. Yukari finds it hilarious, but becomes frightened when the class president moves in to attack her. Mocha gets in front of Yukari, telling the class president that he shouldn't hit girls, prompting him to leave as too much attention is being drawn to him. Tsukyun notices and goes over to hear the class president sneering at Yukari as he walks away. Later in the cafeteria, Yukari thanks Mocha for stepping in and defending her. Mocha and Tsukyun compliment Yukari on being a genius, but Yukari explains that she doesn't think so and express a love for Mocha by pouncing on her and squeezing her breasts. Tsukyun holds back a nosebleed as Yukari asks Mocha to be her girlfriend. Mocha tells Yukari that they can be girlfriends, which Yukari misinterprets. While walking through the halls, Yukari continues squeezing Mocha, much to the jealousy of the boys they pass. Mocha tries to get Yukari to stop, but doesn't know what to say to spare her feelings. Tsukyun runs up to them to get them to stop, but Yukari puts Tsukyun down by insulting his completely average self and how she wants Mocha all to herself. Deciding that a beating will get Tsukyun to stay away, Yukari uses her magic wand to manipulate cleaning supplies into tormenting Tsukyun, revealing her true nature. Unknown to her, the class president and his posse are hiding nearby and now have a perfect reason for going after her now. Later, Tsukyun is being treated for his wounds in the nurse's office by Kirimu, who is pissed off that the show didn't let her show up sooner, who learns that Yukari is keeping Mocha away from Tsukyun. Deciding now is the best time, Kirimu tries seducing Tsukyun by showing him sympathy for his situation and informing him about how Yukari's classmates don't like her either. Outside, Yukari is still scheming to get Tsukyun away from Mocha. She uses a voodoo doll to take control of Tsukyun's body. First, she has him punch himself twice, and then makes him begin to grope and feel up a pleased Kirimu, who gladly allows him to have his way with her body. However, Mocha enters the nurse's office after losing Yukari previously and finds a controlled Tsukyun playing with Kirimu's breasts. Kirimu gets off the bed with Tsukyun's hands still firmly squeezing her breasts and explains that she didn't hypnotize Tsukyun, and just as Yukari makes Tsukyun pull her underwear down just for him to see her naked bottom half, and he gets a nosebleed. Though Mocha is angry, they notice Yukari laughing outside the window, clearing up why Tsukyun was acting odd. They take her to the classroom, where Tsukyun tries having Mocha and Kirimu do something about Yukari's behavior, even telling her that if she keeps on pulling pranks like is doing, she will never make any friends. Kirimu blushes as she says Yukari isn't bothering her. Yukari is initially shocked by Tsukyun's words, but then becomes arrogant about being smart, saying that if people are not as bright as her, she doesn't want to make friends with them. Yukari then comments on how she's always been alone. Tsukyun now sees how lonely Yukari truly is and tries reaching out to help her, but several items fall on his head. Yukari laughs that Tsukyun fell for her acting and runs out of the classroom. Tsukyun prepares to follow after her, but Mocha stops him, saying that he shouldn't be so cross with a little kid. All the while, Yukari keeps laughing as she reflects on her life at Yakai. Nobody in her class likes her because she's a witch, and they think she cheats with magic to get good grades. Because of this, Yukari began pulling pranks as revenge for her mistreatment. She is bumped into by the class president and his posse, whom she tries to shoo away, but finds they are there to teach her a lesson about disobeying the school's primary rule. Back in the classroom, Mocha is still trying to get Tsukyun to see Yukari is hurting, and needs friends to ease her loneliness. Tsukyun sees Mocha is saying Yukari's situation is similar to his own, but is too mad from Yukari's constant pranks to really pay any mind. Mocha tells him that she is going after Yukari and runs out. Kirimu says that Yukari doesn't mind being well liked, which is typical of a witch. Sukyun is shocked by this and wonders why. Kirimu explains that witches are not considered actual monsters or humans, but somewhere in between based on the fact most monsters can be told apart from humans by their true form. But witches are only distinguished by their magic, so other monsters are prejudiced against them. Obviously humans hated them more because of all the witch trials and witch hunts. Sukyun now sees he was wrong. Elsewhere, Yukari has been dragged to the pond near the school by the class president as he and his posse transform into their true forms, lizard men. They plot to eat her to be rid of her annoying antics. Yukari's wand is eaten by the class president, leaving her defenseless. Mocha arrives and, ignoring the danger, begins telling Yukari that if she is alone and doesn't want to be anymore, she only needs to say so. Mocha herself was alone until she met Sukyun, so she can understand the pain Yukari is going through. Yukari cries and hugs Mocha. The lizard men become shocked that they were just forgotten and now plan to eat them both. Yukari bites the class president's tail and is swiped at by him. Sukyun takes the blow to his back, pushing Yukari away. Yukari is shocked he saved her and learns that he too knows what it's like to be alone. Yukari lightly hits Sukyun, calling him a liar, until he flinches harshly from the claw wounds to his back, which makes Yukari realize that while he saved her, he didn't get away unscathed. They are both saved by Kirimu when the minions try eating them. Sukyun stands in front of his friends, planning to protect them. Kirimu becomes infatuated with the thought of Sukyun being her protector. However, Sukyun loses his balance due to his injury and removes the rosario. Inner Mocha is released, but instead of fearing her, the class president becomes distressed that Mocha has broken the rule about dyeing her hair and that her skirt is too short. His two minions try to attack Mocha, but are quickly knocked into the trees with Mocha's kicks. The class president roars that having such strength is against the school rules. What fool amended his rule book, or did he just make that up? But is then kicked into the pond by Mocha, who advises him to cool his head. He promises to cool it and sinks to the bottom. Yukari wonders why they helped her, and Sukyun reminds her that they are there for her because they are friends. Yukari breaks down and cries again. A few days later, Yukari has cleaned up her act. She apologized to everyone in her class for the pranks she pulled, earning apologies from them for how they treated her. They also felt guilty about their snide remarks. Mocha and Kirimu discuss this as they take supplies to their classroom, thinking that Yukari has matured. To their shock, they find Yukari is in their classroom, hugging Sukyun. Yukari tells them that since her classroom is next door, she'll be coming over to play often as she now loves Sukyun as much as she loves Mocha. Kirimu becomes angered and begins pulling on Sukyun with Yukari in a tug-of-war. Mocha tells them that they are wasting their time as Sukyun is hers. She bites him again. Sukyun yells in pain, telling Mocha she'll suck him dry at the rate she drinks his blood. Nearly a month has passed since Sukyun started his high school days at Yakai Academy. He is still having a rough time adapting to this lifestyle while keeping his identity a secret from his school, and without being able to contact his parents and tell them about his new life, his life becomes that much harder. He explains this in a voiceover as Mocha and Kirimu pull on him in their usual tug-of-war while Yukari clings onto him from behind. During class, he is thinking about what he should do, but reacts to being called on in class to read a page with, "What the hell should I do?" His neck gnome tells him to simply read the page, much to Sukyun's embarrassment. Later, on the rooftop, Mocha wonders why Sukyun was acting weird in class. Sukyun lies, saying it was just being sleepy. Mocha and Sukyun begin looking at each other lovingly until Mocha says he smells nice, which cues Sukyun to what she's thinking about doing. Mocha prepares to bite him until Kirimu arrives and yells at Mocha for apparently sucking too much of Sukyun's blood. Despite the comical appearance of being withered from a lack of blood, Sukyun insists that it is not the reason, and he doesn't mind is because Mocha needs to ingest blood to be healthy. Kirimu decides to take advantage of this and says she has needs too, hypnotizing him with charm and rubbing his chest with her breasts. Mocha stops her as Kirimu has forgotten that if she kisses him, Sukyun will become her slave. Sukyun later ponders about how weird it is to be friends with a vampire, succubus, and witch as he takes his trash to be burned. However, upon arrival at the furnace, he is confronted by 3 students who declare he's their #1 enemy, introducing themselves as the presidents of the Fan Club Coalition, a group consisting of Kozo Kasahara, Kubasaki Nagi and Basaburo Terra that idolizes Mocha, Yukari and Kirimu, who start beating him up for spending time with their idols. They notice how much of a wimp he is and compare him to being a regular human as Tsukyun's trash can floats above them and begins dumping trash on them. 2 of them think Tsukyun is doing something, but the third realizes that it must be Yukari's magic causing this. He is right. Yukari runs at them, warning the 3 to get away from Tsukyun just as Kirimu and Mocha arrive. All 3 are overjoyed to see their idols. Yukari explains what's happened and decides to punish the boys by having the nearby cleaning supplies attacking them. However, a bucket accidentally hits Tsukyun, knocking him down and allowing the boys to flee. Kirimu tries to go after them, but Tsukyun stops her. That night, Tsukyun treats his wounds and wonders if he should really stay at Yakai Academy as he is a weakling who needs protection from girls. He talks to his cell phone, wondering if there is anyone on the other end, asking if they know what he should do. There is no answer, obviously. Tsukyun is then left to ponder if he should leave when the bus arrives and go back to his normal life in the human world. Also, Kozo, Kubasaki, and Basaburo meet in their club room. Kubasaki and Basaburo fawn over pictures of their idols. Kozo decides that they need to get rid of that parasite Ayano, so the girls can be all theirs. The announcer bat, hanging from a beam above them, only laughs at the idea. At lunch the next day, Kirimu and Yukari explain 2 of the weirdos from yesterday have been hanging around them, either taking pictures Kubasaki or stalking Basaburo. Mocha, who seems to have not had the same experience, agrees with them. Kirimu points out that they can kick their butts if they try anything. The real problem is Tsukyun because he won't fight back. She decides that they should be his bodyguards, so that they can take out the creeps when they try attacking him. Kirimu gets the expression, 2 birds with 1 stone wrong, only for Yukari to correct her. Tsukyun is against the idea, but Mocha says he's not that strong. Immediately realizing her mistake, Mocha then says he might be stronger in his monster form. Tsukyun finishes lunch and walks out, but is pursued by Mocha, who apologizes for her goof. Tsukyun tells her it's not because she almost told them he was human that he's upset. He runs off without telling her why. It's evening at Yakai Academy and Tsukyun has just left his dorm room, which has been cleaned up. A letter is seen on his desk, with the self-note, "No one will read this one either." Elsewhere, Yukari is joyously cleaning up the school grounds with her magic. She notices Tsukyun passing by the fence with a serious expression. On the roof, Mocha is wondering if Tsukyun is still mad at her for earlier. Yukari arrives, telling Mocha that Tsukyun passed by with a bag and a serious expression on his face. Shocked, Mocha immediately comes to the conclusion that Tsukyun is planning to leave. Tsukyun has arrived at the bus stop, awaiting the bus to come. Upon mentioning Mocha's name, Tsukyun is shocked to see the Fan Club Coalition had snuck up behind him. Kozo is angry that Tsukyun has said the name of one of the group's sacred goddesses so casually. Though they don't know where Tsukyun is planning to go, the club know that since they are off school grounds, they can unleash their true forms. Upon doing so, Tsukyun sees that they're far below par in intimidation. They misunderstand Tsukyun's reaction to them, thinking he thinks they are lame like the other students do. Tsukyun is left speechless as he cannot think of anything to help improve their self-esteem. The reason they've been idolizing the girls is because they think they cannot get girls of their own due to them going for flashy, badass monsters. They hate Tsukyun because he gets girls without actually trying. As far as the trio is concerned, they begin pummeling him for real with Tsukyun, unable to defend himself due to being human. Mocha cries for them to stop, and they look up into the sky to see all 3 of the girls being flown by Kirimu. Kirimu asks why she has to get stuck flying them everywhere. Yukari apologizes as she forgot the spell for flying. Mocha reminds them that now isn't the time for this. Kirimu drops them off on the ground and kicks Kubasaki, freeing Tsukyun from his neck. Yukari produces a chair with magic for Tsukyun to land on. Mocha rushes over to Tsukyun to see if he's alright, but he only laments he had to be saved by them again. Mocha slaps him, calling him a moron for not knowing that friends are there for each other. Tsukyun had saved Mocha, Kirimu, and Yukari from different kinds of trouble himself, making them even. The fan club trio become upset that Tsukyun is receiving affection from their goddesses, drawing attention back to them. The girls decide to take care of them. Yukari runs in terror from Kubasaki as he weirds her out. Kirimu is unable to land any solid blows to Basabiro's blobby body, and Mocha is not exactly combative like her other personality. Tsukyun sees that there is only one way to get these weirdos to stop pestering the girls. He calls them creepy stalkers. They take this hard, even adding other terrible things they think about themselves, showing low self-esteem amongst them. They decide to teach Tsukyun a lesson once and for all. They combine their lame and powerless monsters forms into a powerful amalgamated giant that easily knocks Tsukyun away. Mocha runs over to Tsukyun to help him up, and he accidentally pulls of the rosario, allowing inner Mocha to come out. The trio fawn in awe over inner Mocha, claiming they have been waiting to worship her. On inner Mocha's orders, Kirimu kicks the amalgamated giant from behind and Yukari trips it with a rock, allowing inner Mocha to kick it far away, causing it to turn back into the human forms of the trio. They decide to become the Vampire Fan Club, now in honor of their new admiration of inner Mocha before fainting. Inner Mocha tells Tsukyun that his leaving Yakai Academy doesn't work for her, as without him, she won't have food and outer Mocha will be crying her eyes out. Kirimu says Mocha not biting him would be a good thing as she and Yukari hug him, begging him not to go. Tsukyun asks who told them he was leaving. Yukari points out that he has a packed bag, which Tsukyun reveals is full of letters he wrote and wants the bus driver to mail for him on the other side. Kirimu and Yukari realizes outer Mocha jumped to conclusions just as the bus arrives. The bus driver easily accepts Tsukyun's request, telling him that it's commendable to stay in touch with his parents. As the bus leaves, inner Mocha says Tsukyun is a confusing person and seals herself, allowing outer Mocha to fall into Tsukyun's arms. A half-asleep outer Mocha begs Tsukyun not to leave. Tsukyun thinks to himself that he won't and tells himself that until he does, it's time to say goodbye to his useless phone, turning it off. As the bus driver drives off, he thinks to himself that Tsukyun choosing this path is admirable, but it's the long and twisted path as well. The next day, his Nekonome reveals to the class that the student dormitories now have payphones that link to the human world. The bus schedule has also been increased from once a month to once a day due to overwhelming demands. Tsukyun yelps in shock. Mocha asks Tsukyun what he thinks and the both gaze at each other. Mocha ends up biting him right in the middle of class, much to Tsukyun's embarrassment and pain. The episode opens with Tsukyun winning a soccer game, earning admiration from all the girls at Yakai. In private, Mocha asks Tsukyun if it's okay, and he tells her it is. They lean in to kiss each other, but Mocha says that it is the first time that Tsukyun has willingly let her suck his blood. It is then revealed that Tsukyun was having a daydream, and he screams in pain again. Mocha thanks Tsukyun for letting her suck his blood, collecting her bag and walking off. Tsukyun wonders to himself if Mocha knows why he lets her suck his blood. When Mocha calls after Tsukyun to hurry to class, he guesses that she doesn't. Mocha thinks to herself about how yummy Tsukyun's blood is. In class, his Nekonome tells the students that they all must join clubs to help them better understand humans and keep their transformations in differing situations. One male student then points out that Ms. Nekonome's tail is evident. In her embarrassment, Nekonome uses her claws to scratch his face. Tsukyun hears this and remembers his daydream, quietly chuckling to himself as Seiso, Mocha, and Kirimu look at him in confusion. Tsukyun and Mocha go to the area where the clubs have set up booths to accept new members. Mocha says they should join the same club. However, the first 4 clubs they try are too spooky for them: ghost photography, acupuncture, mummy, and a science club, who want Mocha to test love potions. Sukyun then notices that the swim club appears normal, having another daydream about him and Mocha at the pool. Right as his daydream gets to the part where they kiss, Sukyun is snapped out of it by Mocha as he was actually trying to kiss her. Sukyun tells Mocha that they should give the club a try as it appears safe. Mocha tries telling Sukyun something, but the club president, Tamao Ikanos, tries charming Sukyun into forgetting her and joining. Annoyed, Mocha tells Tamao that they're both joining the swim club. At the pool, 3 perverted boys sneak up to the fence to spy on the girls. They notice Mocha cowering next to the fence and wonder if she's going to swim as well. Mocha doesn't notice them. Instead, she focuses on Sukyun, who is becoming flustered by Tamao getting too close to him while showing him how to swim. Seeing that Mocha is getting angry by how she's acting, Tamao presses against Sukyun, causing Mocha to snap. She yells at Sukyun, thinking he only joined the club to meet girls. Sukyun tries to explain himself, but Tamao splashes water on Mocha, causing her to flee. Sukyun tries to go after Mocha, but Kirimu jumps in and lands crotch first on Sukyun's face, forcing him to fall backwards into the pool. She has joined the club as well. Sukyun manages to get back up just as Yukari jumps in, landing on Sukyun as well, causing him to fall again. The boys at the fence begin crying at the sight of them. Kirimu presses her breasts against Sukyun's arm and asks him to teach her to swim, but Sukyun is too flustered by Kirimu's breasts being too close to him. Kirimu undoes part of her top, trying to show him her breasts, but Sukyun looks away. Kirimu ties her top back on and tells Sukyun that she's feeling squeezed, saying her suit may be too small. Yukari then grabs Sukyun, asking him to teach her to swim. Kirimu then grabs Sukyun, and they begin pulling on him. Yukari tells Kirimu that bigger isn't always better, promoting her to tell Yukari that when she was her age, her breasts were nearly as big as they are now. Yukari simply tells her that big breasts sag faster. Angry, Kirimu begins fighting with Yukari. Sukyun tries stopping them, but they tell him to stay out of it. The two continue trading insults about the other's physique. Sukyun can then only watch in exasperation as they fight. Elsewhere, Mocha has entered an alley and has begun to show sparks as electrical arc surges through her. Inner Mocha speaks through the rosario, telling outer Mocha that she's a fool for even getting that close to water. Vampires are weakened by pure water, but herbs can neutralize it as Mocha needs water to bathe. Mocha feels sad, but inner Mocha tells her that she shouldn't even bother going back to the pool and to end her relationship with Sukyun as he appears to not even care about her. Outer Mocha denies Sukyun could ever be that heartless and begins lamenting her situation. The swim club opens up a celebration, called the All-Girls Swimming Event, in which Kirimu is the leader of Red Team and Yukari is the leader of the White Team. Kirimu jumps on stage and sings first during the event. The song is based on her relationship with Sukyun. The event consists of an obstacle race, in which all of the girls try to race through a tunnel on the pool, but they have trouble getting through. However, Yukari is able to make it through, but cries on the way to the finish line because her small stature is what allowed her to win. The next event is a limbo on water, where Kirimu tries to limbo while floating on a barrel, but falls off a disadvantage of her breasts again. Yukari makes it but cries again because she was small enough. The next event is a push and shove game, where all of the girls try to shove each other off a floating mat on the pool. Yukari gets stuck in the middle, and Kirimu kicks her off. This sucks. Yukari takes the stage and sings her song about her relationship with Sukyun as well. The new event is a race on water, in which the girls race on water mats. Kirimu and several other girls race through while many guys blast water on them, and Kirimu gets first place. The next event is a ball tossing game on water, in which they try to get rubber balls in a basket. Yukari has a hard throwing the balls because of her head being stuck under Kirimu's breasts. The final event is a horseback fight, in which two girls lift up another girl and the teams try to take the caps on their heads for points. Yukari tries to take Kirimu's cap, but Kirimu smothers her between her breasts and then takes Yukari's cap first. During the end of the events, Yukari manages to take Kirimu's bikini's top. In the alley, Mocha has stopped sparking, apparently having dried off, and decides to go back to the pool no matter what inner Mocha says. Back at the pool, Sukyun is practicing swimming with Tamao, but finds that he cannot enjoy himself. He decides to search for Mocha. However, Tamao grabs him and tells him that he cannot leave. He then notices that the other girls originally in the club are biting the guys and turning them into withered husks. Kirimu and Yukari, who had been fighting again, notice this and head to the pool to help Sukyun. It is revealed the other girls are mermaids and Sukyun is next on the menu. Tamao tells Sukyun that she has been waiting to snack on him since the opening ceremony because of his human-like scent. Kirimu and Yukari are busy fighting the other mermaids. Mocha arrives and sees Sukyun is in danger. Despite knowing it can kill her, Mocha jumps into the pool, causing a large amount of her shorted-out power to spark around her. Having the weakness against pure water, Mocha does not know how to swim and began struggling for her life. Sukyun cannot reach her as Tamao still has him, so he watches as Mocha sinks below the water. Luckily, Kirimu transforms and holds Tamao back, allowing Sukyun to swim after Mocha, releasing the Rosario seal. Inner Mocha floats back above the water, sparkling, intimidating Tamao and the others with her power. However, they know if they keep her wet, she'll be too weak to fight them. They keep splashing her. Kirimu kicks some of them down while the others are hit by Yukari's washtubs. Inner Mocha tells them that she doesn't need their help and insults Tamao, tricking her into jumping out of the water after her, allowing a mid-air kick that knocks her into a basket. Sukyun goes over to see how Mocha is, but is slapped for not considering the other Mocha, who was crying her eyes out. Inner Mocha takes the Rosario and walks off. The next day, it is raining, leaving Sukyun to guess Mocha isn't coming because of it. This Nekonome is ironically giving a lecture on mermaids and how their strength is opposite of that of a vampire about water. The day after that, Sukyun meets Mocha outside the pool and apologizes for not considering her feelings. Though Mocha is willing to just cheer from the sidelines, Sukyun is adamant about not joining the swim club. Lounging above them, Miss Nekonome recommends they join the newspaper club instead. They both agree just as Kirimu and Yukari arrive, saying that they will join the club as well. Overjoyed to have 4 applicants, Ms. Nekonome jumps in the pool. Happy that she and Sukyun joined the same club, Mocha bites Sukyun again. The episode opens at nighttime Yakai Academy, where a full moon lights the sky. The scene owls over to the pool locker room, where a girl has just changed into her underwear after showering. While putting on her shirt, she notices the presence of Somon by the window, but a shadow outside of it moves away before she can properly register it. The scared girl calls out if anyone is there, but gets silence. Another girl is seen putting on her pajamas, and the shadow of the peeper comes into her room. She notices and looks behind her, letting out a scream of terror. The next day, Mocha asks Sukyun if she can suck his blood. Sukyun is unable to give a reply as she immediately bites him and sucks his blood. With blood coming out of his neck, Sukyun collapses, thinking that if Mocha keeps sucking his blood so much, he'll die from anemia. The news club might make his death a headline. Recovering, Sukyun is then greeted by Kirimu, who hugs him unintentionally, smothering him with her breasts and glares at Mocha. Sukyun thinks to himself, "Help, need I hear?" as he hears Yukari's voice. Yukari tries to grab Sukyun, but Kirimu moves out of the way. Sukyun tries flailing to get their attention, but he finally passes out from mild oxygen deprivation coupled with anemia. As Mocha and Kirimu glare at each other, Yukari exclaims Sukyun's condition in shock. Kirimu begins shaking Sukyun to wake him as Mocha and Yukari panic. Surprisingly, this daily routine hasn't killed Sukyun already. At the newspaper club, everyone is surprised that they are the only ones there. Miss Nekonome assures them that they aren't the only members. The door opens and a young man named Jin Morioka enters, giving a bouquet of flowers to both Kirimu and Mocha. Yukari receives one from Kirimu's bouquet. Nekonome explains that Jin is the oldest, making him the de facto president of the club before leaving for a faculty meeting. Jin explains that the newspaper club involves putting yourself in harm's way to get a story, but then tells them that it is mostly common stuff they have to report on. While thinking of ideas for a story, Kirimu remembers about the peeper and decides that they should use the paper to find the creep. Jin concurs with the idea, telling them that have to find informants first. Following the first rule of journalism, they put up flyers asking for information on the peeper in the school entrance. Sukyun wonders to himself what kind of man Jin is, given his displays of silliness and bravado. Yukari offers to help put up flyers, but Jin says she is too small to help. Sukyun brings in more flyers as Jin tells Mocha and Kirimu to put the flyers up higher as he squats down. Sukyun wonders what he is up to and looks for himself, seeing that Jin is looking up the girls' skirts. He yells for Jin to stop, but the girls don't seem to hear to what he is saying, as Sukyun clearly says Jin was looking up their skirts. Jin decides to turn the tables and says Sukyun was the one who was looking up their skirts. Sukyun tries to explain, but slips up, getting slapped by both Kirimu and Mocha. Though Kirimu apologizes, Mocha leaves in a huff after Kirimu and Yukari do. Jin calls Sukyun an idiot as now their club activities are done for the day and leaves as well. Sukyun only cries Mocha's name. Mocha goes to the restroom in the meantime and thinks over what has happened. Thinking that if Sukyun did look up her skirt, Mocha goes to check to see what she is wearing today. Inner Mocha's voice comes from the rosario and questions what Mocha is doing. Honestly, why would she do this, unless she feels the same way Sukyun feels about her? Though Mocha screams in shock of being caught doing this, inner Mocha simply tells her other self that she must be careful around Jin. This new guy is hiding a dangerous power. That night, Jin stands on the school roof, looking into the sleeping Mocha's dorm room, saying that she is more beautiful than the moon. A howl then pierces the night. The next day, Sukyun tries apologizing to Mocha about the incident, but Mocha decides to give him the silent treatment as revenge for peeping at her underwear. In reality, she thinks he's innocent. Elsewhere, Jin is watching two girls change in the locker room and overhears them talking about the possibility of Sukyun and Mocha being a couple, as she is usually seen kissing him on the neck, which is actually just Mocha sucking his blood. Jin screams out in terror at the idea, drawing attention to himself. However, he quickly vanishes just as Sukyun walks by. The narrator bad mentions the fact that Sukyun got the wrong time, wrong place squee. The girls decide he was peeping on him without any further thought as Sukyun defends himself, stating he was just walking by. Jin, who is sitting on the roof, decides to strike while the iron's hot as he now knows a sure way to get Sukyun away from Mocha. Sukyun is stared at by Mocha and Kirimu in the classroom as he tries defending himself. They don't believe him. While Kirimu appears to be angry as it wasn't her he was looking at, Mocha looks at him with a sad expression showing she may hold mutual romantic feelings for Sukyun. Sukyun leaves for the hallway and finds Jin waiting for him. Jin says that he believes Sukyun, earning his trust. Being a nice guy, Jin offers to help Sukyun change things between himself and Mocha. Sukyun is then led to the side of a building, where Jin tells him to use a drum to look into a window. Jin tells Sukyun that he is infatuated with Mocha and wants her to be his girl. Sukyun wonders why Jin is telling him this and realizes that the window belongs to the girls' locker room. Jin takes an instant picture and threatens to show it to Mocha if Sukyun breathes a word of what happened. Sukyun is then knocked out by a can of hairspray from inside the locker room. The girls find him and accuse him of being the peeper. Sukyun tries to defend himself when Mocha arrives and hears what happened, but slips up again. The girls then proceed to pummel him unconscious. News of the peeping reach Kirimu and Yukari. Yukari doesn't believe Sukyun would do this, while Kirimu is upset as she believes Sukyun would only look at her. Receiving a glare from Yukari for her comment, Kirimu decides that the two of them will investigate the problem and see if Sukyun was framed. That night, Mocha is on the school roof, wondering what is going on with Sukyun just as Jin arrives. Jin tells her that he can help her forget about Sukyun and tries kissing her. Mocha pushes him away and Jin decides to show her the picture he took, saying it has been going around the campus. Mocha's shocked reaction seems to awaken Sukyun, who was still unconscious outside the locker room. Jin tells Mocha that Sukyun is such a desperate peeper, he moved a drum just to look inside. Kirimu and Yukari dressed as detectives arrive and point out the drum Sukyun is supposedly standing on is not in the picture, as well as there been eyewitness reports of him moving drums to the window prior to the incident. The girls removed them afterwards to prevent a repeat performance. In desperation to frame Sukyun, good Jin blew multiple holes in his frame job and his own brittle alibi. With all the evidence pointing it out, Kirimu and Yukari accurately declare Jin the true peeper. Jin moves back in shock at having been discovered, dropping several pictures he took while peeping. Seeing there is no other way to make Mocha his girl, Jin transforms into his werewolf form. The narrator Bat appears and explains if it wasn't obvious from all the hints given in the episode, Jin's true nature is that of a werewolf. Though they normally appear the same as humans, werewolves normally transform during a full moon, but can change form at will. Jin lunges for Mocha just as Sukyun arrives to see this. Sukyun runs over to protect Mocha despite Kirimu's warning that werewolves are S-class just like vampires. Before he can reach Mocha, Sukyun is tripped by Jin, causing Sukyun to pull off the rosario seal and land away from her. Stomping on Sukyun, Jin gives him fair warning to stay away from Mocha just as bats descend from the moon and begin Mocha's transformation. Jin is overjoyed to see how beautiful Mocha's monster form is, but decides he better show her who the pack leader is. Inner Mocha tries to hit him, but Jin moves out of the way. The full moon gives him a major boost in his powerful speed. Jin moves around to confuse Mocha, but is soon caught by the wrist. The moon had gone behind the clouds. Comical reactions come from Sukyun, Kirimu, and Yukari. Mocha tightens her grip as Jin calms down, still thinking he can show Mocha who's in charge. After Jin tells her to be his she-wolf or else he'll hurt her, enraged that Jin thinks he has a chance with her, Mocha kicks him to the guardrail. Jin lands horizontally, ready to launch himself again, but the rail breaks and he falls over the edge and into the abyss below. The next day, the newspaper club puts out flyers that cleared Sukyun's name while putting all the blame on the correct culprit, Jin. The girls are currently chasing him to get revenge. Sukyun tries to talk to Mocha about the oddness of their first story, but is soon kicked in the face when he almost looks up her skirt again. Mocha tries to apologize to Sukyun, but becomes intoxicated by his scent. Kirimu and Yukari mutually agree that Mocha shouldn't suck Sukyun's blood, but the vampire can't help herself and does so. The newspaper club has successfully sold all their newspapers for the day, much to their expectancy. Mocha decides that they should celebrate. Kirimu, Yukari, and Sukyun agree. However, Sukyun then wonders where Jin vanished to, as he was with them until a minute ago. Kirimu tells him to forget about Jin as he's probably off hitting on girls or taking pictures of them. He's not invited. Yukari agrees with Kirimu, calling Jin the enemy of all women. Jin is next seen walking with two girls, saying that the newspaper club is looking for models while he gropes one of them. The announced Bat then says Kirimu was right on the money, squee. While deciding what to bring, everyone notices a quiet girl out of uniform, talking about how she doesn't understand friendship. They wonder what she wants, and she asks for a newspaper. Sukyun hands her one he had in his pocket. Upon taking the newspaper, the girl takes a long look at Sukyun, saying that he's cuter than she expected before leaving. The girls wonder if Sukyun knew her. He doesn't. Sukyun gets them to get their minds off the idea by saying they'll throw the party of their lives after school, prompting cheers. In class, as Nekonom is taking roll call, only to find a miss. Shiryuki is still absent from class. Much to Sukyun, Kirimu, and Mocha's shock, they find the girl they met this morning come into the classroom and take the last empty seat. Miss Nekonom reacts with joy and tells the class that she's Mizore Shiryuki, who had not been coming to school due to unforeseen circumstances. Mocha and Sukyun scream with shock. After class, Sukyun, Kirimu, and Mocha talk about what to bring to the party. Kirimu begins rubbing against Tsukyun again, talking about a homemade treat she has for him, but Mocha pulls her away with her. Once they're gone, Tsukyun notices that someone is watching him. Much to his surprise, he finds Mizore behind him. Asking if there is something he can help her with, Tsukyun learns Mizore is a fan of his work for the Yakai Gazette, and that Miss Nekonome brought issues of it to her while she was still out of school. Mizore shows Tsukyun a scrapbook she made of his articles, mentioning that she put some of her thoughts and ideas into it. Tsukyun feels flattered, but soon becomes frightened when he sees the comments in Mizore's book are obsessive affection for him. What the hell? Mizore tells him how she noticed he writes from the view of the weak and helpless, something she can relate to, thinking that he's as lonely as her. Elsewhere, in the faculty lounge, Miss Nekonome is approached by the PE teacher, Mr. Koichi Katsubo, who has just learned about Mizore finally attending class. She had refused to come to class for a while could be a serious matter. The math teacher, Mr. Tsuririko, supports Mr. Katsubo, saying that Mizore has a very unusual personality and that she caused lots of trouble in junior high school. They both tell her to keep a close eye on her and make sure she doesn't cause trouble. With a sad expression, Miss Nekonome agrees to keep an eye on Mizore. At the pond, Mizore skips a stone 9 times, happily cheering for herself. Tsukyun congratulates her, but says that he has to go. Mizore grabs him. Tsukyun begins crying, knowing that he is missing the party, and sees that Mizore has now taken a more serious tone, saying that she doesn't know what might happen to Mocha if he doesn't stay with her. Mizore tells Tsukyun that all he has to do is be hers and hers alone. Cold gusts of wind begin surrounding them. Elsewhere, at the newspaper clubroom, Mocha has brought her share of the snacks and is awaiting everyone else, wondering where Tsukyun is. She hears the door open, but instead of her friends, Mizore is there. She tells Mocha that she can wait all day, but Tsukyun will not come. Water drips from her. She begins choking Mocha, saying that getting rid of her is the only way to make Tsukyun hers. Mocha slaps Mizore, shattering the upper right part of her head. Mizore tells Mocha that she is actually a puppet made of ice, asking if she thinks she did a good job. The puppet turns its right arm into an ice blade and tells Mocha that it's time for her to die. Mocha screams for Tsukyun to help her. Back at the pond, it has frozen over and Tsukyun has been thrown onto it. Tsukyun wonders what Mizore is and learns that she is a snow fairy able to bend ice to her will. Ice traps Tsukyun's legs. Mizore tells Tsukyun that she's lonely and that she senses that he is as well, hoping that they'll warm each other's frozen hearts. Tsukyun can only shiver and fear for the worse until he hears Mocha's voice calling out to him. Mizore turns around, shocked to see Mocha being carried by Kirimu towards them. This leaves Mizore confused. She ordered her puppet to kill Mocha. Kirimu had saved Mocha from the ice puppet by smashing her love potion-laced cake onto it, earning Mizore her anger. Mizore tries blocking them with ice, but Kirimu ends up crashing Mocha right into Tsukyun, freeing him from the ice. Mizore tries moving in to kill Mocha, but Tsukyun blocks her, telling Mizore that he is not lonely. Mizore thinks that Tsukyun is rejecting her feelings for him and screams in anguish, vanishing in a tornado of snow. Kirimu then notices that the ice can't hold their weight now that Mizore's magic isn't sustaining it, and everyone crashes into the water. Mr. Katsubo bids 2 female students goodbye for the day at the track. They walk off, thinking about going shopping. Watching them leave, Mr. Katsubo mumbles to himself that students develop way too frickin' fast, before wandering off to take his mind of the matter. He finds Mizore crying nearby and asks her what's wrong. He then realizes who she is. Mizore looks back. Back in the newspaper clubroom, Mocha, Tsukyun and Kirimu are wrapped up in blankets to warm themselves up after their encounter with Mizore. Kirimu can only lament that her cake was ruined by Frosty the Snow Skank. Yukari comments that they're acting like a bunch of old people before noticing there's a commotion going on outside. Upon opening the door, they find Miss Nekonome in a panic, saying that Mizore has gotten into big trouble. In the faculty lounge, they learn that Mr. Katsubo has been hospitalized after being attacked by Mizore. Tsukyun wonders if there's any proof that she did it. Ruriko tells them that Mr. Katsubo identified his attacker as Mizore, and the rest of the teachers are out combing the grounds for her. She's to be expelled once she's found. Kurumu and Yukari think she went ballistic because she was rejected, something that is very likely due to her personality type. Feeling responsible for the chaos, Sukyun decides to find her, as there is something he didn't get to tell her in their last meeting, against the suggestions of his friends. Sukyun passes Jin on the way out, paying him no mind. The girls are less than happy to see Jin, but he tells them he has photos for an awesome new scoop. At the cliffs, Mizore is looking out to the ocean just as Sukyun arrives. He explains that Mr. Katsubo is in the hospital, and that the teachers are looking to expel her for injuring him, asking if she got carried away with lashing out. Sukyun goes on to say that if she comes with him and apologizes right away, she won't get expelled. Mizore shakes and slowly becomes hysterical, telling Sukyun that she thought that he would be the one who understood her. But she now thinks none will ever understand her, calling up a flurry of snow around her. Mocha, Kurumu, and Yukari arrive, showing Sukyun Jin's photos. They show that Mr. Katsubo was trying to molest Mizore when he found her. Using his monster form to prevent her escape, she was only defending herself. Sukyun now feels terrible for what he said and asks Mizore if she can forgive him. Instead, she screams for him to leave her alone and to stay away, summoning a snowstorm. She laughs manically, crying as ice puppets form, each saying something born from the despair deep in her heart. The cliff Mizore is on collapses, but Sukyun grabs her. Mizore tells him to let her go, but he tells her that he is not lonely because of his friends. He wants her to be one of his friends as well. However, the ice puppets, having been created by her negative emotions, believe that Sukyun is lying. If he was a real friend, he would die for her. Mizore apologizes, explaining that she no longer controls them. They are acting of their own accord. Mocha rushes over to pull Sukyun and Mizore up, but he pulls off her rosary instead. With inner Mocha free, the ice puppets threaten her next, but she simply tells them that they will be the ones to disappear. They shatter into pieces of ice. Yukari explains to a shocked Kurumu that Mocha's monster energy is much stronger than Mizore's, which created the ice dolls, so it makes sense they exploded. Inner Mocha pulls Sukyun and Mizore up, grumbling about Sukyun calling her out for such a problem. Mizore gets to her feet and refuses to thank her. In response to Mizore's cold attitude, Inner Mocha uses a light kick, knocking Mizore away. She goes on to explain that before Mizore talks about dying, she should at least try living her life. Mizore accepts the advice, and before passing out, she states that she thought the kick would kill her. Later, everyone, but Jin is covered with a blanket in the newspaper club room as Miss Nekonome thanks them for saving Mizore. They then notice it suddenly got colder. Mizore is at the door. Sukyun freaks out while Mocha notices Mizore has cut her hair. Mizore explains that she felt reborn and decided to cut her hair as part of her change. Jin tells her that she is photogenic and takes her picture. Sukyun thanks Jin for getting the photos, as they proved Mizore's innocence. Jin says it's all in a day's work for a dedicated reporter, but more photos fall out of his pocket. Kurumu picks them up and examines them with Mocha and Yukari immediately scowling. They're of girls changing clothes again. Kurumu and Yukari proceed to pummel Jin for once again peeping on girls, telling him that he should have saved Mizore instead of taking photos. Mocha then tells Sukyun that she's feeling thirsty and proceeds to bite him as Mizore looks on from the door. It's morning at Yakai Academy, and the male students are noticing the math teacher, Miss Ruriko Kagome, who they find extremely hot. A wind blows, causing her skirt to temporarily lift up, much to joy of the male students. Once the wind stops, Ruriko notices that the boys are out cold and laughs shyly. In math class, Sukyun is called on to solve a math problem, but he has no idea how. Mrs. Ruriko chides him for not paying attention in class, reminding him that final exams are coming up. Sukyun freaks out. Later, on the roof, Sukyun asks Mocha to tutor him in math, as all his energy and time has been spent on getting used to the school and all the crazy mix-ups they've been in. Mocha asks Sukyun to come to her dorm room that night to study and help him with any other subjects he is having trouble with. Sukyun instead freaks out in his mind, knowing that he won't be able to study with Mocha because he would be too distracted. Mocha tells Sukyun that she is always willing to help him because he always lets her suck his blood. She then bites him. Kirimu barges through the door, saying that she can help Sukyun study. Yukari lands on her via, flying on a broom, and says which makes perfect sense that Sukyun will study better with her as she's genius. Mizore appears from behind the door, shutting it, and says that she needs help studying too as she missed a lot of school. Sukyun tries to say Mocha and himself are studying together, but Mocha tells them it's an excellent idea to have all of them study together. At the newspaper club room, Yukari gives a lecture on the subject, which Mocha and Sukyun seem to grasp, but Kirimu doesn't. Mizore is simply writing Sukyun's name over and over in her notebook. Mocha offers to copy her notes down for Sukyun, but he recommends making a photocopy of them instead of writing. Then he realizes the school probably doesn't have anything like that. Mocha tells him she doesn't mind, and they gaze at each other. Kirimu interrupts them, asking Sukyun to be her tutor. Mizore asks how integrals and derivatives are any different than addition and subtraction, which shocks Yukari speechless. At 10 minutes to the school building closing, Sukyun and Mocha are getting their shoes changed. Ririko arrives, asking if Sukyun had club activities, but learns that they were having a study session. She finds this to be bad news as students mostly goof off instead of focusing on studying. Mocha tells her that they truthfully were studying and getting the hang of it. However, Miss Ririko begs to differ, saying that only teachers are capable of teaching a subject, not students. Sukyun is then told by Miss Ririko to meet her for tutoring sessions the next day. The following day, Sukyun has told the rest of his friends about what happened. Kirimu explains that Miss Ririko is overly passionate about math and majorly tends to go overboard. She's jealous that her breasts are smaller than hers. Hearing Kirimu's remark, Mocha gazes at her breasts, then Mizore glances at her own breasts, blushing as she sees her build. Yukari points out how childish it is for Kirimu to be jealous of such a thing and ends up in another argument. Listening to the two of them arguing, Sukyun is reminded that there is a summer break after finals, fantasizing about the girls in swimsuits at the beach. Much to Mocha's shock, Sukyun tells her that he will work hard and pass math so they can do something fun for the summer. However, each of the girls interjects with one of their own ideas. Sukyun goes to the tutoring room, only to be shocked to find Miss Ririko in a S&M outfit. She explains that she is wearing it to give Sukyun motivation to study harder. However, Sukyun tells her that it's weird as he's a student and she's his teacher. Miss Ririko concurs with him, saying that she is a teacher and that she notices he has a luscious human scent. Sukyun tries to get off the subject and Miss Ririko tells him her private sessions are intense. Sukyun screams as the sound of a transformation is heard outside the tutoring room. Elsewhere, Mocha decides to continue compiling notes for Sukyun, as it is the only thing she sees she can do to help. The next day, gym class is over and Mocha is asking the other students if they're ready for finals. Most aren't. Kirimu tells Yukari that she needs to be tutored in math, but Yukari refuses, prompting Kirimu to tie her up and drag her along. They bump into Sukyun, who only mumbles math formulas, which they haven't gotten in class yet. Kirimu is overjoyed Sukyun is learning and asks him to tutor her, but falls on her face when he moves away. Mocha next meets Sukyun in the hall, telling him that she has finished her math notes for him. However, she notices something is wrong with him as well, but before she can try talking to him, Ririko arrives and examines the notebook. She is annoyed Mocha is trying to undermine her and comes to the conclusion that Mocha must be the reason Sukyun is having trouble focusing in class. She takes Sukyun away to continue tutoring him. Mocha wonders if she truly is what's causing Sukyun to fail, but decides to continue writing notes for Sukyun to study for his other finals. Over a song by Mocha as she writes the notes, a montage shows Sukyun is not responding to Kirimu, Yukari and Mizore's attempts to talk to him, continuing to show that something is wrong. Later, Tsukyun is being tutored by Miss Ririko, and he utters, "Where's Mocha?" prompting her to knock him down. She tells him that he is studying well and he should try harder. His human scent gets her worked up to teach. Deciding that Tsukyun needs to have more learning pumped into him, the sound of her changing is heard outside the tutoring room as Tsukyun screams. Mocha hears his scream from the shoe lockers and runs to see what's happening to Tsukyun. Back in the tutoring room, it is revealed Ms. Ririko is a lamia, who is using the flower-like appendage at the end of her tail to implant knowledge into Tsukyun while shocking him into solely focusing on his studies. Tsukyun begins babbling math formulas as Mocha opens the door to see what is happening. Ms. Ririko calls Mocha a pest and knocks her outside, telling Tsukyun they best return to his studying. Mizore pops in from the ceiling, shocking Miss Ririko. Disgusted with Miss Ririko for her methods, Mizore decides to cool her down by releasing a blast of cold air. However, Miss Ririko knocks candles over at Mizore, blocking her from helping. Mocha hits Miss Ririko with a candle, causing Ms. Ririko to pin her to a wall in anger, while Mocha's notes fall all over the room. Tsukyun notices Mocha's notes and snaps out of his trance. He keeps Miss Ririko from affecting Mocha, thanking her for the notebook which he plans to use in gratitude for her hard work. He ignores Miss Ririko's angry ranting as he does this. Before Miss Ririko could use her powers on both of them, Tsukyun pulls off Mocha's rosario, releasing Inner Mocha. Ririko tells Mocha that she's a bad student, but Inner Mocha tells her that she's doing the teaching by teaching Ms. Ririko her place. Dazed, Miss Ririko thanks Inner Mocha for her guidance right before Mizore freezes her solid. On the day of the final, Tsukyun is stressing out, but thanks Mocha for tutoring him the few days prior. She bites him happily and sucks his blood. Tsukyun had scored 89% in math. As for Mizore, she got 56% marginally passing. Yukari got 100% flawless scoring and Kirimu got 46%, meaning she has to go to summer school for makeup classes. Tsukyun is waiting at the bus stop when Mocha arrives as well. He finds it almost impossible to look at Mocha because of cute she looks in her street clothes. Mocha asks him if anything's wrong, wondering if it's because of the trip. A flashback shows that Miss Nekonome explained that the newspaper club will be going to the human world for the club trip. However, Tsukyun pokes a hole in her logic, saying they aren't allowed to go there. Miss Nekoname explains that it's okay if a teacher authorizes it, I think. In the present, Tsukyun and Mocha are sitting on one of the tree branches. Mocha reminds Tsukyun that she used to live in the human world until Yakai Academy. Tsukyun then wonders if Mocha will be alright going back, prompting her to respond that she's more excited than scared. However, she then leans onto Tsukyun, saying he'll protect her. They both stare into the other's eyes and draw close for a kiss. Unfortunately, the sound Kirimu complaining about someone being slow causes Tsukyun and Mocha to miss the kiss. Kirimu, Yukari, and Mizore arrive, seeing both got there ahead of them. "What do you think you're doing, huh, Yukari?" "Well, look who decided to come a little premature." Kirimu. "Can't leave them alone for a minute." Mizore. Tsukyun and Mocha, who had climbed down from the tree, laugh nervously. Nekonome arrives with the bus and bus driver, greeting them. Tsukyun wonders where Jin is, prompting Yukari to explain he failed too many subjects, no doubt, because he spends the time he should be in class taking photos. Jin is then shown completing his makeup exams under Miss Ririko's watchful eye, saying, "I'll join you guys as soon as I can." Kirimu laughs at Jin's plight until Yukari points out she's in the same boat. Kirimu failed her math final. However, Kirimu rushes Yukari into the bus, saying that she finished her makeup exam. Mizore then bets Kirimu managed to skip out on them. Kirimu gulps as the bus takes off, but then says, "Maybe, Yahoo!" The bus arrives in the human world without a hitch. Tsukyun sees the familiar surroundings, promptly shouting that he's back home. Mocha reacts in shock to his outburst because this could make the rest of their friends realize that he isn't a monster. Kirimu asks Tsukyun why he's acting so happy. It's like he's a human. Mizore and Yukari agree with Kirimu. Mocha quickly lies, saying that Sukyun used to live in the human world before going to Yokai Academy. Sukyun agrees with Mocha, saying that he feels attached to the human world. Kirimu agrees, I guess that can happen. However, though Mizore gives a smile of agreement, Yukari seems rather suspicious still. At the beach, everyone plays with a ball. Yukari passes it to Tsukyun, asking him if he's really not afraid of the human world. Tsukyun tells Yukari that he's not afraid, he finds Yokai Academy way scarier. Hearing this, Yukari calls him brave, a rather unnecessary flattering compliment. Mocha dives after a shot, ended up lightly scratching herself. Tsukyun wonders if she's okay. Mocha's fine, but got a pile of sand in her swimsuit. Sukyun seems to drool at this, daydreaming, but is hit by a shot from Mizore. She promptly apologizes. Kirimu is relieved to hear that Sukyun is just comfortable in the human world, as she was beginning to suspect Sukyun was human. Sukyun and Mocha fear she's onto him for a moment. Yukari chids Kirimu for thinking that, as Mizore scoffs in agreement with her. Mocha quickly decides to change the subject as Kirimu and Yukari get in fight over her stealing her shots with the ball. It quickly escalates into a contest between the two of them to see who fails to catch the ball first. Yukari takes her wand out, prepare to slam the ball down on Kirimu with a giant mag hand. Sukyun has to jump in the fray to prevent Yukari from using magic, as there are other humans on the beach. Yukari apologizes for her behavior. A short time later, Sukyun is sitting on the beach with Mocha, admiring the ocean's beauty. They both lean in to kiss, but Kirimu calls out Sukyun. They miss again, with Mocha noticeably annoyed. Kirimu invites Sukyun to join her, Yukari and Mizore in the water. Sukyun tries to get Mocha to come along, but remembers vampires can't go in water, deciding to stay on the beach with her. Mocha is shocked Sukyun is saying he can't have fun without her and once more leans in to kiss him. However, Kirimu thinks she was trying to suck his blood and yells for her to stop. Mocha says she can't help herself because Sukyun smells delicious. He now thinks she was after his blood. Kirimu, Yukari and Mizore get in an argument over who would care for Sukyun if he collapses from blood loss, beginning a tug-of-war with him. Mocha offers to help, unifying the other three in yelling, "No, you'd be the cause of it, you big dummy." Mocha shrinks away in embarrassment. Laughing at the usual mayhem between his friends, Sukyun notices a field of sunflowers on the cliff above them, and everyone decides to go investigate. They wonder why a sunflower field is on a hill near the beach, admiring its beauty. Unbeknownst to them, an unknown figure is watching them. Nearby, a couple has arrived on the same hill, but the girl tells her boyfriend that they had better leave as people have gone missing there. A witch is supposedly behind the abductions due to feeling angry over a development plan that would destroy the hill and sunflowers. Yukari notices the couple talking as they leave, wondering if there is truly another witch in the area. Having also overheard the couple, Kirimu tells Yukari that it's mean of her relatives to abduct people. Yukari calls her an idiot that believes everything she hears. Kirimu, in return, tells Yukari that witches get on her nerves. Yukari then yells that she dislikes succubi, whose only redeeming feature is being a sexbot. Kirimu is embarrassed by what Yukari said, but wonders what she actually knows. Yukari might be a genius, but this may a fake out to unnerve Kirimu. In anger, Yukari drops a tub on her, surprising the figure hidden in the sunflowers. Kirimu demands to know why Yukari did that, but Yukari just drops another wash tub on Kirimu. The rest of the club find Kirimu and Yukari mid-argument. Kirimu complains to Tsukyun about Yukari's behavior, but is told to calm down. The group heads back to the beach, thinking that Miss Nikone might start getting worried about them if they stay any longer. After all, they didn't inform Hiro where they were going. After everyone leaves, the unknown figure comes out of the flowers, revealing herself to be a girl around the same age as the rest of the newspaper club members. She says another witch's presence must be reported to her ladyship. It's evening and Nekonome goes out to procure fish for them to eat despite the protests of the club, as they already have a cooler full of food. As Nikoname says, since they're staying by the ocean, they should have fish, claiming human world fish is the best. Mocha then wonders if that's the reason she had this trip planned, just an excuse to get seafood. Embarrassed, Ms. Nikoname races off, but not before being reminded to hide her tail. Yukari offers to help Tsukyun move the cooler, but is turned down as he is concerned she might get hurt lifting it. Kirumu helps Tsukyun despite his protests. She then tries asking Mocha if she needs help cutting vegetables, but is turned away out of concern Yukari may cut herself. She next tries asking Mizore if she needs help setting up the tent, but is turned away before being able to ask. Hurt, Yukari sits on a rock nearby, feeling sad that her friends won't let her help them. Though she doesn't understand that her offers for help wouldn't turn out well for her. Coolers are heavy, she has no cooking experience, and it would be too cramped in the tent with two people trying to set up the sleeping bags. She then notices a presence back on the hill and goes to investigate. She wonders if there really is another witch there. The moon comes out and illuminates the hill enough for Yukari to see someone in the shadow of a tree. Yukari demands to know who it is, and the witch who had been spying on them earlier, Ruby, presents herself. After introductions, Ruby asks Yukari if they can be friends. Yukari accepts the proposal of friendship and is hugged quickly by her new friend. Back on the beach, Miss Nikoname opens the cooler and examines the fish she got, but becomes shocked when Mocha tells her that her tail appeared again. Worried, Miss Nikoname starts coming up with an excuse, saying that she was just counting the fish. While everyone laughs, Tsukyun notices that Yukari has disappeared. Back on the hill, Ruby tells Yukari about how witches have lived on the hill for generations, and that her ladyship will soon enact her plan to wipe out humans to protect it. Yukari is shocked. Tsukyun then arrives, asking Yukari who her new friend is. Yukari tries to conduct introductions, but Ruby assumes Tsukyun is there to defile Witch Hill and summons monster plants to kill him. However, Yukari slays them, telling Ruby that she won't let her kill one of her friends. Seeing that bonds between witches should be stronger than anything else, Ruby snaps, tying up Yukari and having more plant monsters try eating Tsukyun. Spurred on by Kirumu's insults, Yukari summons more powerful tarot cards and makes a salad out of the plants. Everyone else then arrives, having become concerned about Tsukyun and Yukari to find the aftermath of the battle. Yukari apologizes to Ruby, saying they can't be friends and leaves with Kirumu and Mizore. Kirumu tells Yukari to quit being so proud and let her carry her down the hill. Yukari is adamant, claiming witches heal fast. Mocha then realizes she and Tsukyun are alone for the first since summer break started and tries to kiss him. However, Tsukyun is injured by Ruby, who plans on taking Yukari with her as her ladyship commanded it. Tsukyun passes out from the pain and minor blood loss. Distraught, Mocha screams and the seal gets disrupted, allowing inner Mocha to come out. Yukari is horrified, asking Ruby what she's done. She turns to find Mizore freezing everything around her as Kirumu transforms and flies at Ruby. An explosion erupts from Witch Hill. Ruby awakens in the newspaper club's tent, dazed. She wonders what happened, but remembers the girls attacked her after she injured Tsukyun. She tries to attack them, but is stopped when Tsukyun holds out a can of tea for her to drink. Ruby tells them that they can't buy her off with a can of tea. Tsukyun explains that they only want to hear her story, and they learn the past of Witch Hill. Ruby and her ladyship have only been attacking humans to protect their home. The plant monsters ate the humans. Mizore then points out that it doesn't matter if you're a monster of a human, a life is a life. Mocha then suggests that if all Ruby needs is a home, she should come to Yakai Academy as it has a lot to offer her, even suggesting she joining the newspaper club as well. Kirumu complains about there being two witches now, something Yukari can't resist rubbing in. Mizore offers to cool their heads, but is turned down because she'd end up freezing them all. Ruby is touched by their kindness and watches them have a good time. This makes her begin questioning what she thought the world was like. When everyone else has fallen asleep, Ruby sneaks out with the unopened can of tea she was given. She thinks about the news club and what they've taught her, bringing Ruby to tears. She feels that it's too late to change who she is now. Ruby calls a crow to bring her wand, which was lost during the explosion, to her, and flies back to her home on Witch Hill. There, she tries to talk to her ladyship about what she has just experienced, but is caught as vines, controlled by her ladyship. Ruby tells her ladyship that she will never betray her as the can is broken while she screams. In the meantime, the newspaper club has woken up and noticed Ruby has gone missing. Knowing where their new friend could have gone, they race back to Witch Hill, hoping to find Ruby. However, right as they reach the sunflowers, the girls get caught in vines controlled by Ruby. Walking towards the newspaper club, Ruby, back to being a vicious homicidal maniac, tells them to leave Witch Hill as she calls out the monster plants that reside beneath the sunflower field. The announced bat appears and states the obvious about the monsters before being swatted into the distance by Ruby's wand. Ruby explains that her ladyship grew these monsters to help with wiping out humans. Sukyun tries reasoning with her, but Ruby has turned a deaf ear to his pleas as she orders the plants to devour the newspaper club. Kirimu frees herself using her claws, and Yukari through the use of her tarot cards. Both begin fighting the monsters as some head for Sukyun. The screen goes black along with the drop of his flashlight. When the light comes back, it's shown Mizore broke free as well and saved Sukyun by freezing the monster plants solid. All three of the girls tell Sukyun that they will protect him. Sukyun then realizes that Mocha has been unable to free herself from the vines and runs after her. Unfortunately, Ruby buries him and Mocha in a sea of plant monsters. Kirimu, Yukari, and Mizore are horrified and try fighting their way over to help him. Being constantly battered and moved around in the ocean of monster plants, Sukyun wonders what he can do to help Mocha and realizes he can release the Rosario seal, pulling it off from Mocha. The energy from Mocha's transformation from her outer to inner self releases enough power to make mulch out of the sea of plant monsters. Ruby only looks on in shock, realizing that Mocha is a powerful S-class vampire. Inner Mocha thanks Sukyun for saving her and begins fighting Ruby, knocking her into a pile of dead monster plants. I'll take blood over peace. However, Ruby is not done yet, as she brings the monster plants back to life and merges them into new ones twice as big as before. She also traps Mocha and Sukyun in vines and begins slashing away at them with her razor-sharp wings. Ruby goes on about how she is carrying out the wish of her ladyship. Sukyun then realizes that her ladyship must be in the house on the other side of the hill just as he gets a cut on his face. Mocha sees this and frees herself easily, kicking Sukyun free of the vines and knocking him over to Kirimu, Yukari, and Mizore. Sukyun begins running towards the house, but gets blocked by the monster plants. Kirimu and Yukari team up, clearing the path for him. They both get into an argument as usual, but Kirimu is envious of Yukari not having to lug around 4 extra pounds in front like she does during a fight. Yukari tells her that they have to finish the conversation after the fight. Almost at the house, Sukyun is blocked again, but the plant monster is killed by Mizore's icicles. Arriving at the house, Sukyun finds roots coming out of the house, which he deduces is what is controlling the plant monsters. He tracks the roots to the room of her ladyship, with the roots coming from her rocking chair. Sukyun asks her ladyship to let Ruby make her own decisions. However, the old witch remains silent. Sensing something is wrong from the fact she hasn't acknowledged his presence, Sukyun slowly creeps forward. Once close enough to the mirror, Sukyun sees something that causes him to recoil in horror. He grabs a nearby vase and smashes the mirror with it. Outside, Kirimu, Mizore, and Yukari are exhausted from having to repeatedly kill the plant monsters, only to have them come back to life and double in size. Mizore voices exasperation, wondering how much longer they will have to put up with this insanity. Kirimu tells her that they will have to keep fighting until the plants stop coming back. Yukari then notices something has gone wrong during Mocha's fight with Ruby, directing the others' attention to them. Surprisingly, Ruby has Mocha tied up upside down. Yukari pleads with Ruby that they've had enough fighting, promising that they will all leave Hill and never come back. However, Mocha tells Yukari to take a good look at Ruby. Ruby is now way too far gone from the girl they met earlier. She can't even recognize them. Ruby ties all the girls up in a ball of vines, calling it punishment for trying to defile her home. Sukyun arrives and tells Ruby that there is no one left who cares about the plan. Her ladyship is not there. Ruby denies this by explaining that her ladyship is in the house. But Sukyun yells that she's been dead a long time. Everyone is shocked by how deeply in denial of reality Ruby really is. She's been revering the corpse of her dead mentor, believing her to still be alive. This shocks Ruby, who we see have a flashback to her ladyship passing right after deciding not to go through with her plans. Her ladyship realized that her plans would make her just as bad as the humans she despised. With her last breath, her ladyship apologized to Ruby for leaving her alone again, though promising her spirit would watch over her. Ruby was unable to accept the death of her ladyship, and a false image of her has been haunting Ruby this entire time. Ruby cannot accept the awful truth of reality, wailing in defiance and completely losing what was left of her sanity. An explosion of magical energy surrounds Ruby as Yukari recognizes the spell. It's a witch's desperation move to become more powerful by merging with others' creatures. The plant monsters merge with Ruby, which results in a giant multi-mouthed plant monster with Ruby in the middle one. Yukari realizes that Ruby has gone off the deep end, and the only thing they can do to save her is to beat her, asking Sukyun to toss her magic wand to her. Removing the shoe from Kirimu's free foot, Yukari is freed from the vines by Kirimu's foot claws as she frees herself, Mizore, and Mocha. However, Mocha becomes trapped in vines, which proceed to burrow into her body and merge with her. Ruby explains that in her new body can fuse with an infinite amount of other monsters to control them and absorb their powers. Mocha struggles to get away, but the vines overtake her and fuse her to Ruby, who takes control over Mocha's body and uses her vampiric power to attack the others. Yukari tells Mizore and Kirimu that they have to destroy Ruby's wand to defeat her and free Mocha. Yukari manages to temporarily negate Ruby's power by blinding her with magic tarot cards, allowing Mocha to regain control of her body. As Mocha breaks free, Yukari tells her to destroy Ruby's wand, which will render her helpless and unable to cast magic spells. Yukari pleads with Mocha to stop Ruby even though she probably can't revert, tearfully saying that Ruby needs help. Mocha agrees to do what she can, but says Ruby's better off dead. After stating once again that she'll take blood over peace, she dive kicks Ruby's wand, shattering it. This causes an explosion, which consumes Ruby, who screams in pain. During the explosion, Ruby has a happy childhood memory of her ladyship asking what her favorite thing is. The memory erases the hatred from Ruby's face before a second, more powerful explosion occurs. The next day, the news club feels terrible for not being able to save Ruby. Nekonom arrives just as the bus does. Jin departs from the bus and everyone stares in shock. Ruby is sleeping, cradled in his arms. Jin said he found her floating in the ocean, like something was protecting her from harm. Ruby's sleeping expression is calm and serene. Summer is over and the newspaper club has returned to Yakai Academy. Mocha wonders if Sukyun wanted to visit his parents while they were in the human world, but he assures her that he is fine. Sukyun is then embarrassed to hear Mocha thinks he's manlier than when he started at Yakai. She ends up biting him again when they stare at each other. Sukyun then does a voiceover about how he is going to make the best of his time at Yakai, even if he and Mocha get separated and go different ways in life. The news club has printed up their new edition, including their adventure at Witch Hill. Sukyun finds the fashion tips Kirimu put in the paper to be a little less than interesting. The narrator Bat says the style she listed went out of fashion years ago. Mizore then arrives and tries getting Sukyun to call her his snow bunny before Kirimu tells them to focus on getting the others' papers in print. Everyone is shocked she cares so much about the newspaper. They go to hand out the newspapers at the gate, but find 3 girls handing out newspapers of their own called the Yakai Square. Pissed off, Kirimu yells at them, wondering what they are doing. They assure her that they are an official club. A student called Kato arrives and introduces herself as the Super Newspaper Club president, explaining that they found the articles in their paper so boring that they decided to introduce their own brand of journalism. After the Super Newspaper Club leaves, the regular one tries handing out their paper, only to have it dismissed by the students reading it as it lacked color and swimsuit photos that the super newspaper clubs had. The news club goes to Miss Nekonome and learns that the school plans to scrap whichever club has the least popularity. Kirimu decides they need to keep at it and get as many readers as they can. She doesn't want to consult Jin for advice as he is probably too busy spying on girls again. She hit the nail on the head again. It turns out she's right and Jin is peeping on girls with his camera, but he becomes distracted by the super newspaper club walking into the office of the security committee. The next day, Kirimu forces Yukari to dress in a maid outfit along with her to drawn-in guys to sell their paper. Kirimu even gives cookies as a bonus to those who sign up for the Yakai Gazette. However, they are outdone by the super newspaper club again when the three girls arrive in bikinis and offer free pictures of themselves in said bikinis to those who read the Yakai Square. Kirimu is shocked by this, wondering if they can even do that. Yukari points out it doesn't matter as they are dressed in revealing outfits. Yukari is then scared away by a strange pervert and Kirimu knocks him out with a kick. In the news club room, Kirimu consoles Yukari, telling her that they have to come up with better ideas. However, Sukyun and Mocha arrive with Jin, who tells them not to mess with the super newspaper club as the security committee is behind them. Jin explains its violent version of a discipline committee that became corrupted by being drunk on power old adage. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The Yakai Gazette's popularity has become a thorn in their side, which is why they created a rival club. He orders everyone else to burn the papers and leaves. Everyone goes to burn the papers outside. Mocha and Yukari go back to the club room to get the rest of the papers while Sukyun and Kirimu stay behind. Sukyun tries consoling Kirimu about burning the papers, but she is adamant about passing them out instead because of all the hard work they put into them. The trio from the super newspaper club arrive and say their mistress will deliver divine punishment upon them for not burning the papers. Just as they wonder who it could be, Sukyun and Kirimu are shocked to see Kato pull the papers away from them with thread. They ask why they are trying to run them into the ground and learn Jin was hiding something from them. Kato tosses their papers into the incinerator as her minions keep Kirimu from getting to them. Sukyun tries to help her, but gets caught in Kato's silk and hung above them. Kato discards her school uniform, revealing the one belonging to the security committee under it, while revealing her true form, a Jorugumo. Kirimu recognizes the uniform and tells Kato she knows who she is. Kato compliments her on being a good reporter, but goes on to lie and really, she is about the committee protecting the peace of the school. Kirimu is then trapped in Kato's web and held in place by the three minions, now revealed to be insect monsters. Each one was from a club that resisted the committee, but they were turned into minions by Kato's venom. As Kato prepares to inject venom into Kirimu, she is stopped by Mizore, who distracts her with ice projectiles. Kato tries webbing her, but Mizore easily evades it before saying that she's not the one who's going to fight her. Mocha and Yukari arrive, and with Yukari's help, Mocha jumps up to reach Sukyun, who removes the rosario. Inner Mocha frees Sukyun and brings him down. Kirimu demands she free her, but Inner Mocha tells her to free herself. Kirimu does so and Kato becomes annoyed that her prey was taken from her, wrapping silk around Mocha's arm. However, she proves far weaker than Inner Mocha in a tug-o-war and is drawn in for a kick. Kirimu gives her another kick that knocks her into her own web with her minions as they bounce off and crash, knocking them out. After Inner Mocha seals herself, Sukyun decides that the news club should expose the committee for the corrupt jerks they are. Everyone agrees with him. In the committee's office, Kuyo learns of Kato's defeat as he goes over the files on the members of the news club. Everyone's monster identity is listed except for Sukyun. Kuyo then remarks that they will soon have something interesting happen for the first and longest time at Yakai, burning the files with a sneer. Having become fed up with the corrupt security committee and their attempt to run them into the ground, the newspaper club has begun taking photographic evidence of their corrupt ways, beating up students for money, getting bribes, attacking students playing hooky from class. However, they do not have any eyewitnesses to call on, as everyone else fears retribution from the committee for telling the school about their corruption. Luckily, much to everyone's surprise, Mizore has stalked the fan club collection into being eyewitnesses for them. However, when they go to question them, they find other than the horror of the items they have of Mocha, Kirimu, and Yukari that they are not there. But instead a member of the new trio tells them that the committee took them away, to which a second urges him to shut up in panicked fear. At the same time, Kuyo, head of the committee, hears from one of his top henchmen that the collation trio had some rather interesting information after being given a beating to keep their mouths shut about them. The next day, Mocha finds Tsukyun is tired from a lack of sleep due to dedication to their cause of exposing the committee. Seeing that Mocha is intoxicated by his scent, Tsukyun wonders if she wants to suck his blood, even leaning in to let her. However, Kirimu arrives and does a spin kick that knocks Mocha down. Tsukyun would be sapped of strength if she sucked his blood, and they need to be diligent in their work. Yukari arrives and says she agrees. Mizore pops out from nowhere and says she'll stalk someone else into being their eyewitnesses. Outside the school, Jin is once again spying on girls with his camera. However, he soon notices the security committee walking towards Nekonom's classroom. While they're in class, Kuyo comes in and tells Tsukyun that he is under suspicion of being a human. While everyone else is shocked by this possibility, Mocha silently wonders how they found out. Kirimu defends Tsukyun with the fact humans could not even be at Yakai Academy. Mocha backs her up. Kuyo instead sees them and Mizore, who are part of the newspaper club with him, as possible accessories to Tsukyun hiding his identity. They are taken away as the students watch. Yukari tries freeing them, but is stopped by Jin, who tells her that she cannot do anything on her own. In the shrine that serves as the committee's headquarters, Tsukyun is shown recordings of Seizo, Mr. Kutsubo, Ms. Ririko, and several other students giving confirmation of Tsukyun being human. Kuyo then shows Tsukyun where his friends are. Kirimu and Mizore are being questioned, but remain adamant Tsukyun is not a human because 1. A human cannot get into Yakai, and 2. Tsukyun must be obeying the rules thoroughly, as he has never broken his transformation once. Tsukyun is then shown Mocha, who is pointed out as evidence of him being human, as vampires love human blood, and she only drinks his. Mocha defends Tsukyun, saying his blood is just delicious, saying it didn't mean he was human. However, her interrogator grows tired of her refusal to out Tsukyun and threatens her with pure water if she doesn't cooperate. He then begins flicking water on her as torture in order to get her to confess. Tsukyun angrily calls Kuyo a bastard and demands he let her go. Kuyo is still unfazed by this and threatens to throw Mocha into the pond outside if the interrogation goes on any longer. The fan club collation is then revealed to have been kept in the room with them, and Kuyo explains they told him all about how he never fought back against them, and how weak he was. Each has signs of a nasty beating. Having his men pin Tsukyun to the ground, Kuyo tells Tsukyun that he could change into a monster and free himself of the guards holding him down, clearing the charge. With the sound of Mocha's screams of pain ringing in his ears, Tsukyun decides that the only thing he can do to save her is tell the truth. Tsukyun admits to being human to Kuyo, who simply laughs maniacally. As he asks if everyone heard that, Kuyo snaps his fingers, revealing that Mocha, Kirimu, and Mizore were in the room with them. The shrine has multiple layers of illusion in it, allowing the committee to hide in plain sight. Kirimu and Mizore are shocked, wondering if Tsukyun just admitted the truth. Mocha, on the other hand, cries that Tsukyun shouldn't have told them the truth, no matter what happened to her. Kirimu realizes that Mocha knew the truth the entire time and slaps her. Tsukyun tries calming Kirimu down, but is yelled at to stay away. Amused, Kuyo says Tsukyun is getting his just desserts. Kuyo tells his men to let Kirimu and Mizore leave, but keep Mocha locked up as she was an accessory to hiding Tsukyun's human identity. As Mizore and Kirimu walk out without a word, Mocha is dragged out by a guard as Tsukyun holds back tears of seeing his friends hating him now and Mocha being locked away. Kuyo coldly tells Tsukyun the committee finds him guilty of being human. He is to be put to death. Kirimu and Mizore return to the news club, informing Jin and Yukari that Tsukyun is a human. Yukari realizes Tsukyun was the only one of them that was happy to be in the human world when they went on their trip. Jin noticed that Tsukyun was too bumbling to be a monster. Mizore leaves without a word. Jin tells them that it was the right move to make, as they should either make amends with the committee or hide out until the heat dies down. He leaves himself. Kirimu wonders what Yukari thinks of humans, explaining she thought male humans were just slaves for succubi. She knows better now. Yukari tries to tell Kirimu what she thinks, but Kuyo's voice comes over the speakers. Kuyo announces that Tsukyun is a human that infiltrated Yakai Academy, and that he will be put to death at 4:44 p.m., inviting other students to watch him die. A large crowd forms, some now realizing Tsukyun's scent is definitely human, and yell excitedly for Tsukyun's execution. Unlike the rest of the crowd, one student says that he dislikes humans just as much as any other monster, but death is a bit too much. A second agrees with him, saying that when he went to a human middle school, he made lots of friends. Both agree that the committee is taking things way too far. A member of the committee hears them and knocks them out to prevent them from influencing the crowd. Everyone cheers for the glorious Kuyo while the faculty watches from the school. Nekonom is horrified that Tsukyun is to be put to death, as the Academy's purpose is to promote a peaceful existence between humans and monsters. However, Mr. Katsubo thinks different. He would have killed Tsukyun if the committee wasn't about to. Ririko then tells Emma's Nekonom that the director wishes to see her about urgent business, dragging her to his office. Back in the newspaper club, Yukari is just horrified by the news of Tsukyun's impending death. She tells Kirimu that they have to do something to save him. However, Kirimu only cries, yelling insults about Tsukyun and Mocha. Outside, in the school grounds, Tsukyun is displayed in crucifixion style to await his execution, while Mocha hears everything below in her cell. Horrified as well, Mocha cries out for Tsukyun. The episode comes to an end with Tsukyun shown waiting for death, with Kuyo smiling smugly below him. Tsukyun has been sentenced to execution for being human, and the director of Yakai has decided not to take action, forbidding Miss Nekonom from doing anything to stop it. Awaiting his end, Tsukyun thinks back to why he is in this mess. He wanted to be with Mocha, and if he hadn't stayed, he would never have met all his new friends. He laughs to himself about this, making Kuyo ask if he's lost his mind in fear. However, Tsukyun proves him wrong by calmly asking him to promise one thing: spare the rest of the newspaper club. Kuyo is surprised that someone being put to death would make such a selfless request. He says they will not suffer unnecessary harm, going to say their deaths will be quick and painless. Tsukyun is horrified and yells for him not to hurt them as Kuyo laughs maniacally. Elsewhere, Mizore is looking out to the ocean, remembering it was here that Tsukyun had saved her. A voice tells Mizore that it is her turn to do the saving. She looks up to find a crow looking down on her. She asks who the bird is. At the pond, Yukari is trying to convince Kirimu to do something to help Tsukyun, explaining that she thinks it doesn't matter if Tsukyun's a human, as he was the first person to be kind to her after monsters were the ones who had picked on her. Kirimu tells Yukari that she knows what she is saying, but Yukari doesn't know what she is thinking. If Tsukyun and Mocha had trusted them enough to tell them his secret, they could be thinking of ways to help him. The same crow appears and tells them that they should say that to their faces. In the dungeon, Mocha cries over not being able to help Tsukyun as inner Mocha, via the rosario, asks if she has given up on saving Tsukyun. Mocha says that without her inner's help, she won't be able to break free. Inner Mocha tells outer Mocha that she is not alone in wanting to save Tsukyun just as the crow arrives, telling her to stay back. The bars bend to the sides of the cell until a person-sized hole is made. Mocha steps out and watches as the crow turns into Ruby. Ruby greets Mocha, looking behind her to the others, who have just walked in. Mizore explains kicking the guard's ass took a while. Yukari agrees, saying he was tough. Kirimu slaps Mocha again and says that they have to hurry and save Tsukyun. She hasn't forgiven Mocha for keeping Tsukyun's Sessert from them. Ruby reveals that she has a new wand, promptly Yukari to ask where she got it. Ruby explains it's a long story, but they have to hurry right now. A song begins playing at this time. Outside, Kuyo announces that the time has come to kill Tsukyun and lights him on fire. However, it's put out by Mizor's ice as Ruby and Kirimu fly down to free Tsukyun. Mizor, Mocha, and Yukari arrive, yelling for them to Tsukyun to safety while they handle things there. As Kirimu and Ruby flee with Tsukyun, a surprised Kuyo asks if the girls know what they've done is a crime against the academy. Mizor, Mocha, and Yukari tells him that it doesn't matter so long as they saved Tsukyun, their dear friend. Kuyo explains that Jin said something similar to him the previous year. The security committee's corruption needed to be exposed, which matters more to him than the academy. In retaliation, the security committee killed every member of last year's newspaper club, except for Jin. Because their crime was publicly committed, Kuyo orders his top 3 minions, a bipedal Cerberus, a Zhongxi, and a Golem to kill the newspaper club as punishment. Yukari pummels the Zhongxi with wasp-dubs, while Mizor finds it hard to hold back against the Golem as her ice knocks off his arm. The crowd of students is left amazed by this as they are actually beating the security committee. Kuyo looks up to see Kirimu and Ruby still flying away with Tsukyun, gloating that they can try to running, but against someone of his power, they don't stand a chance. Kuyo heads off after the trio. Seeing this, Yukari yells for Mizor and Mocha to help Tsukyun. Mizor yells for Mocha to go alone as she freezes one of their opponents. Mocha runs off to the school, which is where everyone else is heading. The song ends. On the roof, Tsukyun thanks Kirimu and Ruby for saving him as Mocha opens the door and runs up to him. Tsukyun is happy to be reunited with Mocha, saying he thought he was a goner back there. Sadistically, Kuyo is heard saying that he is going to die there instead. An arrow of fire pierces Tsukyun's heart and engulfs him, burning him badly. Everyone looks on in horror as Kuyo comments that the execution could sadly not be shown to the students, but has nonetheless been carried out. As for monster-human coexistence, I hope it dies with that fool. Tsukyun weakly tells Mocha he has no regrets about coming to Yakai Academy. Distressed, Mocha realizes he's trying to say goodbye and tells him stop. Tsukyun then asks Mocha for one last thing. He pleads for her to protect their friends from Kuyo and pulls of the rosario, blacking out. Mocha calls Tsukyun's name twice, getting no response. Thinking that Tsukyun is dead, outer Mocha screams in horror-filled despair as inner takes over. Kuyo is impressed with Mocha's transformation, smugly smiling as inner Mocha glares at him. Cursing Kuyo out, inner Mocha quickly runs up to Kuyo and spin kicks him through the adjacent rooftop. Mizor and Yukari arrive, revealing that they took out the Kuyo's minions. However, they become horrified to see Tsukyun badly burnt and seemingly dead, asking what happened. Kirimu tearfully tells them that even though they got Tsukyun to safety, Kuyo followed after them and managed to get him. However, inner Mocha gives them a small glimmer of hope. Tsukyun is weak right now, but still clinging to life. She decides the best thing to do to heal Tsukyun is to give HM some of her vampire blood. Ruby concurs with the idea, remembering that vampires have incredible healing powers, so it makes sense that their blood carries this regenerative ability. Much to everyone's shock, Kuyo has assumed to his monster form, that of a 4-tailed fox that has control over fire and is also a S-ranked monster. He fires a blast at them, making Yukari yell for Mizor to put up an ice wall. However, Mizor says it wouldn't be strong enough to block it. Jin arrives and takes the hit, wanting to call them idiots for just standing there, then saying that he's the biggest idiot of all as he passes out. Kirimu expresses shock that Jin actually acted like a club leader for once, but says it's pointless if he dies. Kuyo says that Jin is one more person off his list. Mizor fires icicles at Kuyo, who easily melts them before sending her flying with a fire blast. To buy time for Ruby and Yukari, Kirimu flies around, saying they're proof humans and monsters can be friends. Kuyo fires blasts at Kirimu, who easily dodges them. Ruby and Yukari release a blast of tarot cards at Kuyo, who burns them easily. However, the ashen remains of the cards becomes a ring of spirit familiars in the form of ravens. Kuyo admits they've done something entertaining, but easily destroys the familiars as well. However, Ruby points out that it's not over yet. The remains of the familiars join together into an enormous crow that pecks Kuyo's right eye. Kuyo holds his eye in pain, wondering how such weaklings could have wounded him. Yukari believes Kuyo is reverting to human form, but that isn't the case. Kuyo has transformed into his ultimate battle form, something they should be honored to see as so very few do. Inside the school, numerous students are trying to get to the roof, but find the door is stuck shut. Miss Nikoname is among them, wondering what has befallen her club members. On the roof, Kuyo has proven himself superior in power as he has beaten Mizore, Kirimu, Ruby, and Yukari. However, Mocha says she's still there and will kick your ass from here to Kingdom Come. Kirimu asks about Asukyun, only to hear it's up to chance now. However, Mocha finds her attacks aren't affecting Kuyo, who is surprised by the lack of strength the strongest of monsters has. Mocha realizes giving up so much of her blood has impaired her of her superhuman strength. As Kuyo hammers at Mocha, he lists off many of humanity's negative traits. Beaten back to Tsukyun, Mocha is seemingly destroyed in a blast of fire from Kuyo. However, Kirimu points to the top of the roof door, where Tsukyun is holding Mocha. He subconsciously sensed danger and saved her. Once Tsukyun wakes, Mocha calls him a sleepyhead and flicks him on the forehead. Kuyo tries attacking, but a transformed Jin grabs him. Kuyo expresses shock at Jin getting into position to immobilize him, to which Jin reminds him werewolves are known for their speed. Mocha tells Kuyo that he's become intoxicated with power from being the justice of the school and became corrupt. He needs to learn his place. With a jump kick, Mocha hammers Kuyo into room below. Just before everyone else arrives to see what has happened, Mocha reseals herself. Seeing Mocha out cold and Tsukyun without any upper body garb, everyone believes that Tsukyun has beaten Kuyo, and that his claiming to be human was part of a plan to beat the security committee. Miss Nekonom comments on how Kuyo's defeat has cleared Tsukyun of being human. Some students apologize for their cruel behavior to Tsukyun, while others, delighted at Kuyo's defeat, finally speak their minds about Kuyo's group. As the students lift Tsukyun up in praise, Jin, stuck under Kuyo and in human form again, asks if anyone will help him. The newspaper club is treated for their injuries, with Mocha being hospitalized due to overtaxing herself in battle. Mizore is also temporarily hospitalized due to Kuyo's flame attack on her, since snow women are severely injured by fire. Tsukyun does a voiceover of how, after things calmed down, Kirimu informed him about what happened after he lost consciousness. He cannot help feeling grateful to Mocha for what she did to save his life. When outer Mocha awakens, she finds Tsukyun by her bed with a bouquet of red flowers. Tsukyun thanks her for what she did and apologizes for making her use so much of her power. Mocha tells him that so long as he comes out of it alive, she doesn't mind. Tsukyun starts crying. Mocha flicks him on the head, asking him not to. This prompts him to remember when inner Mocha did that, briefly seeing her in outer Mocha's place. Tsukyun then feels his heart beating fast, becoming shocked at the thought he could be falling for both Mochas. Mocha blushes, saying that Tsukyun looking at her makes her want to kiss him. Tsukyun is shocked to see Mocha want to kiss him and leans in to do so. However, right before their lips can actually touch, the door is kicked down by Kirimu, who has the other girls with her. Yukari yells that she knows Tsukyun and Mocha were up to something, while Mizore calls Tsukyun a nasty boy. Mocha greets them in embarrassment. Kirimu grabs Tsukyun, asking what they interrupted, but Tsukyun denies they were doing anything. Kirimu, Yukari, Mizore, and even Ruby ask Tsukyun to kiss them. However, Mocha sits up and yells, "Not them, Tsukyun, just kiss me." The scene goes black with 5 pairs of lips, ending the scene with a kiss from all of them. Much to his horror, Tsukyun is last heard shouting, "Ah, all 5 of you!" The announcer bat says that he wants a kiss as well, with the end on the screen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to a close. If you enjoyed delving into the world of anime with me and would like more recaps like this, hit that subscribe button, liked what you saw, don't forget to show your love with a thumbs up. I'm always interested in hearing your thoughts, so drop a comment and let's get a conversation going. Stay tuned for more exciting recaps. Until next time.